Good yet?
Yep.
All right, stand for pledge allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for first responders and our military.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lori, can you do a roll call, please?
Majeski.
Here.
Pittsburgh.
Here.
Lincoln.
Here.
Brown. Bristol.
Here.
Haskell.
Here.
Haskell.
Here. Has everybody had time to look over the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, I get a motion to approve it?
I'll make the motion for the agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Majeski. Bristol.
Yes.
Asplund.
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes.
Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Lincoln.
Yes. Okay, everybody had time to read the minutes.
Yes. No typos.
So could I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call.
Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Lincoln.
Yes.
Majeski.
Yes.
Asplund.
Yes.
Bristol.
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes. Okay, general public comment. Anybody out there?
Don't you want to shout, come on down?
Come on. On, anybody have their hand raised?
Nope.
All right. Anybody got any comments on the communication list?
Hold on. Okay, I had one tiny question. Prospect Market. 27. I'll get back to it if I can remember, figure out where I marked it.
All
It
right,
was very minor.
okay. Tracy?
We have, you saw Bob's iPhone on there, and Animal Control had asked me to speak to the board about their annual conference, which is coming up, and they have to submit for that. They do get trainings out of a lot of the things that are going on there at the conference. And that would be coming out of their fund, not the general fund, so they are asking for permission to attend.
I'd agree with that, because I've talked to Rudy a lot about that before, and there's a lot of good stuff that happens, and they talk to all the other animal shelter people around the state. Yeah, so
Right.
I'll do I make a motion?
If you.
Oh,
would,
do it.
please.
Okay, and then we can have discussion, I guess. I'd make a motion to allow animal control to attend that conference. I'll second.
Any further discussion? All Lori.
Bristol.
Yes.
Asplund.
Yes.
Lincoln.
Yes.
Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Majeski.
Yeah.
Haskell.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You got her?
Oh, good, good.
Good. Okay, I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on the airport. We've been talking about this a lot and about a lot of the things that need completed out at the airport, including the pilot's lounge. And I mean, those things are what's going to get us to the next utility, but the major items that need to be completed have to be done before that's even discussed. And the runway is the largest project of all out there to keep that running. So I met with the airport committee, and we have Kim Kennicott, who used to be the airport manager prior, and Gail Bensinger, who's our current manager, are reaching out to MDOT to get them to come in and give us a quote on what the cost of the runway would be to get that fixed and completed. So until I have that, I won't know much more on that part. MDOT did respond to my email as it relates to what will happen to that property if it ceases to exist as an airport. And their response to me was, we can keep it if we want to pay fair market value to them.
What did,
So my comment after that was, so it reverts back to the state and then you let it sit and nothing happens with that property. And they said, no, they would continue to run it as an airport or they would sell it.
so what did Hayes Township and the city of Harrison say about this? Because they're joined in on this as far as doing the repairs, putting money to help do the repairs.
Well, I got a call on Monday asking me to attend a meeting out at the airport relating to some possible grant money for the Pilots Lounge. And I was not included in that decision and had to reach out to them to let them know that the Pilots Lounge is on the back burner. We need to focus on the runway part first. If the runway can't be fixed, then there's no sense in putting money toward the Pilots Lounge. It's, you know, it's not going to work that way. So, and I also reached out to Pam O'Laughlin from MMDC because she was a part of that discussion. So I'm waiting to see where that's going to go. But right now they've been involved in the talks. They were on the airport advisory meeting that we had last Monday. And so they know that, and Samantha was on too, so they know that we're waiting on bids on and what it's gonna cost up for the runway.
Because they know that, I mean, it's a joint venture here between the three entities. So if the other two entities don't want to stick any money into the airport,
Right.
it's kind of.
Well, but here's the thing, Clare County pulled out their $10,000, so
Yeah.
it's really not fair that, you know, we
Exactly.
expect them to put in either.
And then another question, let's say it reverts back to the government as far as, how does that affect the restaurant?
I don't know that yet. So I will keep gathering information on that as well.
That is part of the airport.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so, yeah, I'll get that information. The other thing I wanted to point out is that we have on the agenda for a request to purchase 3 lots at the airport property. And there was a comment made to someone else wondering why that the money that we get from the sale of that property couldn't go into the general fund, and it cannot. The stipulation was when the state of Michigan allowed us to section off those pieces of properties and allow us to sell them for the industrial park. That was the stipulation, was that money had to go back into the airport projects.
Okay, and that was
So,
what my question was.
yeah.
I read in there about the sale of
Yeah.
those parcels, so I was wondering about that.
Yeah, so that money does have to go into the airport.
Okay, well, I knew that, but I
Okay.
just wondered who was wanting to buy them.
We'll get to that.
Okay,
Well, I mean, I could tell you now,
well,
it's,
that's okay. We'll just wait my turn.
We wait.
Yeah.
okay. I didn't want to put a name or an amount on there yet, because in case somebody else came forward and says, well, if they're giving you that amount, then we want to give you this, and we
All right.
don't want to undercut people. And
We don't have to talk about it at all. then.
no, we can when the time comes.
All right.
So, all right, anything else on the airport? All right, so, so we've touched on the federal relief package that's, coming forward, $6 million roughly for Clare County. And we really don't know much else about, what we can use the money for. So, Steve's supposed to be on today. I'm sure he'll be talking about that, somewhat.
I think we're only getting 50% of it.
Yep, 3 million first.
50% next year.
Yep. Yes.
And which Steve, were you referring to?
Steve Curry with MAC.
Okay,
So, and we can talk about that a little bit more, but as information, as we get more information, I'll be sharing that with you all. So, but I think we need to brainstorm really and come up with some really good ideas for.
Yeah, I think, I mean, just shooting from the hip, basically, I think that we need to concentrate, if it's possible, on our fund balance, our debt,
Right.
you know, some of the debt.
Well, I can tell you that it cannot be used for unfunded accrued liability. They said that was one of the stipulations for the money. They said no.
Has to be COVID related, doesn't it?
That's what they're saying. In a roundabout way, they're saying COVID related somewhere.
But they said it's
So-
very vague.
It can, but you
Very
can use some of
vague
that
to
money
us.
to reimburse expenses that we've had in
Yeah.
the past too, so.
Yes, but we have to be careful with that too, because some of that we've already used toward state revenue sharing and some of the other grants that we've put in for.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and we
What I-
have that segregated, but
What I think we need to avoid is hiring and raises. with it. It's not what the money's for.
well, they talked about infrastructure. That was one of the other things. So as we find out more information, but I think we should put our heads together and really think about
Right.
what to use that money
I
for.
received an email from one of my townships asking if some of that money would be directly sent to the townships.
No,
No,
they're getting
ours is
separate.
separate.
Okay.
They can go right on the website right now and they can actually see how much each township is getting.
Okay.
Okay, moving along. And I'll be quick with these last two, just letting you know the budget process is coming up. Budget calendar will be coming before the board at the next board meeting, so that we can get started through the budget process. And HVAC has been put out for bid. Those bids are due 4 o'clock the 24th, and we will be opening those on the 30th at 10 a.m. Are you available?
I should be, I'll have to
Okay.
check. Can some of
I
that?
sent
money
you a
be used for
revised
those
calendar.
expenses?
Okay.
Infrastructure, I
Yeah.
believe it can be used. So
Yep.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's lots of variables that we could start looking at.
What was that date again?
The 30th at 10 a.m.
March 30th, 10 a.m.
We've got some things that can't wait forever that need to be taken care of.
Oh, as far as infrastructure, our windows
They're falling out, yeah.
that are falling out that we've had to have, Jerry Becker's had to call the city and come here to get us the lift up onto the second floor because 2 of our windows just about fell out and they had to screw it into the wall. So.
Hmm.
So just some thoughts, but we'll make those lists and we'll talk about those things. So, okay,
that it?
I'm done.
All right.
Thank you.
Lori?
Look here. Good morning, Lori Phelps,
Hi.
Community Services. I have updates as of the end of February. Total meals for senior services, I'll start with senior services, the total meals, 36,372 meals we've served. We've completed 10,312 and a half hours of in-home care. And we are averaging 26 new clients a month right now. Our expenses fiscal year to date compared to last year at this time, in March 2020, our expenditures were $718,364. And this year we're at $570,931. And if you remember, at the end of 2019, I put a reduction plan in place and made some changes. So we've been, going real good on that. Last fiscal year, at this time, our average monthly expenses were 119,000, and this year they're 103. We partnered with the health department the last few months in vaccination of Clare County seniors. So staff at senior services, literally, we've put in hundreds of hours of calling and scheduling and organizing and getting people there to get vaccinations of people 60 and older. So it was, thank you.
I've heard that also, and you guys need to be commended for what you've done, along with the health department. I was gonna save that for part of my
It was
talk.
a great team effort. It
Job.
all just worked so well together. It just flowed.
And at the last Region 7 meeting, Bob Brown, he said he'd come out, their group would come out to help with one of your, and he raved about how well organized you were and how well it went.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good partnership. We received grant money for emergency meals. Part of our emergency preparedness policy is that all seniors that we serve always have 5 shelf-stable meals at all times in the event that, a road has to close or, whatever might happen. Frozen pipes at the meal site, whatever the case may be. So we received funding and we'll be able to purchase the shelf-stable meals. We try to do this every single year, make sure that they have them. We also submitted 2 grants this week for kitchen equipment for the Clear Meal site, and those look pretty good. I'm not sure. I won't hear on those for about a month. The Claire Meal Site project finally went out to bid a month ago, and bids are due this Friday. So copies of the contract bidding book and plans are in my office if anybody wants to review them. Code enforcement. We have seen from last year at this time to this year, a 54% increase in permits. And then the year before that, it was still quite a bit. So our building permits we've had 176 building permits, 243 electrical, 174 mechanical, and 52 plumbing, and 28 new addresses. We have seen an increase in our revenue from last year at this time in over $90,000. I just expect the bottom to drop out anytime. I just can't believe how many people are coming in for permits. I met with Hayes Township last night. They asked me to come to a workshop and brainstorm on rental ordinances and blight issues. So I'm putting together a plan and giving it to them next week of what we think we can do to help them with that.
Yeah, they don't have a blight officer, is that right?
They don't.
Wow.
Well, a lot of places can't afford a blight officer. So
To have one, but
Yeah.
he couldn't keep up.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
a lot of things that we can go in if it's structural, and it's a code violation, then we can go in and do something. But it has to be, there has to be some sort of a violation there. I'm also still working with Hadco on the development of the brownfield property that's off of Weldon. We've been pursuing assisted living for this area for quite some time to develop in there. I will be participating on a panel for the community outreach event, which is next week. Everybody should have received an email about that. The results of this event with the housing needs assessment that we had done a couple of years ago will contribute to the tools that we need for potential developers and funding vehicles to be able to develop that property out there. I just finished, I wrote and submitted a grant for the city of Harrison for a new fire truck. Hopefully they get that. Trace and I submitted to the MEDC for the CDBG dollars. It's about $142,000 for the reimbursement, which will cover the courthouse security that the county had to pay for while the courthouse was closed, and it was appointment only. And overtime expenses from October 1st through December 31st for the sheriff's department. I had Tracy talk to Jeff about this, but I do this year have a meeting for other senior directors on this day. So it's kind of a conflict for me, and I'm going to try and juggle both meetings as much as I can. If I could just come quarterly, that would be great. And I think that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah,
But, and I do think that's fine, even if you just, every meeting want to give us a report on paper and then just come quarterly and talk, I think that's very fine.
Okay,
Quick question. CMU, has initiated, the College of Medicine has initiated this new program, the Rural Older Adult Mobile Care.
Mhm.
Are you working with them at all?
yes, yep, we actually met with them a couple years ago to help get this going. This was a need in our area.
Yes.
And then we refer people that need this service, but we also take some people there because some of their mobile service can't get to some of our seniors here because of the rural
Mhm.
area. So we are actually taking them there. And it's for people who don't have a primary care provider. There are a lot.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
I'll give everybody a copy.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Feel free to call me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, all your
Thank
hard
you.
work.
oh, good,
All right,
crazy.
public hearings. Steve Curry, are you out there?
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Great.
Good
Uh,
morning, Steve.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How about
I-
yourself?
I'm doing great, thanks. I do have a presentation. I don't know if you guys have a copy of it or if you want me to share my screen. What would you prefer?
Share your screen, please.
All right. If you could give me control when you get a chance. I can share my screen. It says I can't because I don't have control yet. But in the meantime, thank you for having me here today. I don't know if there's a more fitting place on St. Patrick's Day to do a board presentation in Clare County, of course, being named after an Irish county. So very fitting morning today. I've got control now. I'm going to share my screen. All right. Can you see my PowerPoint okay?
Yes,
All right, great.
Yeah.
I'll run through this. I won't take up too much of your time. I'm of course going to hit on the federal funds, which you guys discussed a little bit, and there's a lot to be determined on that. Also going to talk a little bit, obviously, what we're working on here in Lansing these days, as this new legislative session starts. So first, just a little background on MAC. We have 16 commissioners, 2 seats from each of our 6 regions. You can see the regions there on the screen. The board meets at least 4 times a year. We meet at each of our conferences, and then typically in June and November, of course, our legislative conference is now virtual. That'll be occurring April 28th and 29th, and hopefully you've received information on that. We're developing that right now. Our annual conference is scheduled to occur this fall in September. Keeping our fingers crossed, and it's looking better and better each day that we will all be back in person and be able to do it safely. So some good news there. When we do have openings on our board, they are typically held at our annual conference in August and September. This is the current MAC leadership team. Veronica Kleinfeld's the current MAC president from Macomb County. Phil Kyer's first vice president from Ottawa County, and Stan Ponstein, second vice president from Kent County. So what is the purpose of MAC? I know we've got some new commissioners on here. We are your voice in Lansing, and we assist at the federal level as well in cooperation with NACO. So we do advocacy, education, and services. Those are our 3 primary roles. We provide various educational opportunities, not just at our conferences, but we also provide kind of mini conferences in the summer, usually June, July. We also provide the new county commissioners school in the fall in cooperation with MSU Extension. And we also provide various services through the association that counties can take advantage of that hopefully save them time and money. So let's get into the American Rescue Plan. Of course, unprecedented investment in county government. These funds, the legislative intent of these funds are direct funds to counties from the federal government. And these funds, the intent was to be in addition to any sort of existing funding you are getting now. So there's a provision in there that prevents any tax cuts or anything like that. These are direct funds from the federal government, so the state has no say in these particular funds. There are a variety of other funding mechanisms in that plan that come through, rental assistance. There's some DHHS money for childcare and things like that. I'm primarily going to talk about that money that's going direct to counties. Michigan got about 1.9 billion for Michigan counties. Of course, once you choose to accept those funds, you will get those within 60 days. The first staunch, or half of that within 60 days. The second staunch will be no sooner than 12 months. And you will have the ability to expend those funds until December 31st, 2024. Some highlights of this package that we know of thus far. And like I said, there's going to be more guidance coming out of Treasury. I know for a fact that NACO is submitting about 150 to 200 questions to U.S. Treasury tomorrow to get some more direction and guidelines and clearance on what can and can't be used. But revenue loss is going to be a component of this. So, a strategy of this may be to hold on to these funds for a portion of these funds for a certain amount of time, just to see what happens to property taxes. Because I think it's, what we have seen, and I think it's too early to tell what is going to be the impact of property taxes due to COVID, especially when you look at remote work environments, what happens to commercial property taxes, when you look at lost jobs out there, are there increased foreclosures and lost property tax revenue from that? There's obviously some online and some fees and things like that you could have lost revenue for. But there are provisions in there that allow for other things that the funds can be used for. To highlight some of those, it could be, a direct assistance to households. So you could choose to do a stimulus package in Clare County if you wanted to. You could do small business grants, nonprofit grants. You could choose to assist certain industries that have been hardest hit: travel, tourism, hospitality. These are by no means an exhaustive list, just some ideas to start thinking about. It also adds a provision in the language of the bill that allows for necessary investment in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. As we've seen, of course, statewide broadband is an issue, and this legislation allows for investment into broadband. That being said, there's also a premium pay component of it, which allows additional up to $13 per hour, up to $13 per hour. That can be premium pay, no more than $25,000 for any single eligible worker. And that can be used for county employees or those businesses that employed essential workers. So there is some guidance in there. I think there's a long ways to go from U.S. Treasury on what we can spend those funds on. Of course, you can't spend those funds on direct payments to your pension funds. But that's not to say that maybe you had some COVID-related expenses to your general fund that you're using now to pay out of your general fund. You use some of these funds to pay for those general funds. That frees up your general fund. Then you could use those general fund unrestricted funds to pay down. We have a variety of questions into Treasury too, along the lines of, was that last revenue sharing payment from the state last year, was that considered revenue loss because they basically took away unrestricted funds and gave us CARES Act funding, but that was restricted funds, so you couldn't use it as you could have used your normal revenue sharing payment? Would that be considered revenue loss? We have that question. And interest-bearing accounts, are we able to take these funds, put them in an interest-bearing account and collect interest on that and keep that interest? Can it be a revolving loan account where it's a fund interest-bearing account where you have loans out to businesses that maybe pay an interest rate? We have that question out. So I think there's a long way to go on some of this, but it's a massive investment in local governments over the years. And the nice thing is that it's not going through the state; it's going direct to counties, cities, villages, townships, tribes. Get their own funding mechanism. Theirs is a little different. Theirs is based on a CBG formula. That's the cities, village, and townships component. But the county portion was done by population. So we are working on some different mechanisms to assist counties with this. We're anticipating already getting a ton of questions, but even from an administrative standpoint, a lot of counties out there do not have the staff or capacity to either put together grants for their small businesses, track how these funds are being used. Where do they go to get guidance if they have an idea on whether it can be an eligible expense or not, or an eligible investment? So we're working on some things to assist counties with that. It's still in development right now, but so stay tuned. But we're going to try to be as helpful as possible to counties so that they use these funds properly. There's no clawback after the fact. Of course, that's going to be a concern. And just making sure that counties are using these funds as effectively as possible. So before I get too much into the state stuff, I'll open up the questions right now on the federal side to see if there's anything I might have missed.
Not really.
All right.
Do you think, well, I got one question to add to our general fund. Do you think the loss of revenue from our jail because of COVID, not having prisoners because of that? Could we use some of them funds to make up for that and put into our general fund?
You know, I can't say for sure, but I would consider that revenue loss, and that's something we can add to ask US Treasury on, because I think that's a good question. It is a form of revenue loss, and I know we had a meeting with Sheriff's Association, and that's a statewide issue right now. You know, and even looking at, you know, when you start looking at the sheriff's budget, you know, secondary road patrol, there's been an issue with secondary road patrol funds, whether it's from the, you know, people not being out on the roads due to COVID, you know, law enforcement being encouraged not to interact with folks because of COVID. I think those are all things that are open for interpretation, but should be considered revenue loss. All right, I'll move along into some of the state priorities. You can see my screen on some of the state priorities we're working on. I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth on the slides that are forthcoming, so I won't spend too much time on this slide. Of course, 4-year county commissioner terms, something we've worked on for a while. We are one of only 5 states that limit commissioner terms to 2 years. The legislation has been introduced on this. What's different than last year on it is we do have bipartisan sponsorship on this legislation. So we have 1 Democrat and 1 Republican on the Senate side sponsoring this legislation. So we are hopeful to get this legislation moved through the legislature this legislative session. We got it pretty far last year. COVID hit, kind of threw a wrench in some things. Everything kind of slowed down, but we did have some good momentum last session. So we're hopeful to keep this moving. Enacting reforms to improve courts. This comes back to the Trial Court Funding Commission and those recommendations that the Trial Court Funding Commission made a few years ago. Basically, it looks at how courts are funded, what's the best way to fund them. Legislation was introduced last year. It was moving through fine. COVID hit, kind of put the brakes on it. There was a sunset was extended to 2022 on getting these reforms done so that we can continue to fund our courts. Once those bills are introduced, we will share them with you, but we do support the general recommendation of the Trial Court Funding Commission and this process and the way that the Funding Commission recommendations came out. So bolstering the system of financing local government. This is kind of more of a topic than a specific piece of legislation, but some of the things we're looking at, and when we talk about, you know, county funding, is securing revenue sharing. So putting it into some sort of trust fund so the legislature can't raid that fund every year. As you know, we're a little different than cities, villages, and townships that we get statutory revenue sharing, which means that could be appropriated every year away. Should, you know, if the legislature chose. That's one of our biggest jobs every spring, is to go into legislative offices and make sure they understand the importance of what county government is and why that state revenue sharing dollars is important. And we've been very successful doing that over the past 5-6 years. I think we've gotten an increase of at least 2%, maybe 1.5% in there every year. But we'd like to secure that fund up, especially now we're already getting the questions from the legislature on, you know, what are you going to use these federal funds for? You know, so they're already starting to think on how they can keep money back in Lansing and away from county. So if we were able to get some sort of trust fund set up, a lockbox, a virtual lockbox, if you will, that would go a long way in securing county revenue sharing. Some of the other things we're looking at is a tourism reinvestment excise tax for counties. When we look at the foreclosure issue and Raffaele decision, back late 90s, the state, there was an option for counties to pass over to the state the foreclosure process. So the counties could say, state, you take that over. We don't want to do that. We had about 7 counties do it back then. We're looking to reopen that to allow counties to pass that responsibility back on to the state, especially with the changes to Raffaele. So we're hopeful to get that done. And then, of course, something we've talked about for a while is when we talk about tax capture districts, you know, ending the exemption, ending the ability for special millages to be part of the tax capture. We feel that when voters go to vote on a special millage, whether it's a senior millage, a sheriff millage, a road millage, they expect those funds to go to that millage, not to be siphoned off for certain development issues. So those are some of our local government financing ideas. Tax exemption, something we consistently fight over with the legislature. Basically, our position on this is there are a lot of good reasons for tax exemptions. However, if the state wants to give a tax exemption, we believe the state should pay for it, not vote on local units of government revenue and not reimburse it or find a way to a different way to give that tax exemption. So that's a quick and easy way to explain this slide. We're dealing with it now with a broadband issue. Of course, we are supportive of development of broadband, but if the state wants to give a tax exemption on it, make it hit the state's wallet, not local units of government's wallets. Dark stores, something we've been talking about for a few years. Just to highlight on what we're doing a little bit differently than what we've done in the past, is that we are going to focus more on the big box stores cost approach. So if it was built in the last 7 years, we feel like the cost approach in assessing should be used, and prohibit the use of deed restrictions in determining the value of those properties in that 7-year window. We think that'll go away in getting these properties properly assessed. Infrastructure, and this goes beyond just roads. Of course, we've got bridge issues out there. We've got stormwater, sanitary sewer issues. If you look at the governor's recommended budget recommendation, there were a multitude of ways that infrastructure was proposed to be funded. You can see some of those highlighted there. This goes into PFAS and clean water and a whole bunch of different issues that we're watching. Of course, shoreline was a big issue last year that, that seems to have backed off a little bit, but infrastructure is always going to be a hot topic for us. And we're not just talking about roads. Human services programs. If you look at what was passed last year, you had the moving the 17-year-olds out of the adult system and into the juvenile system, and those costs incurred by that. One of the things we're continuing to work on is to make sure those costs are 100% covered by the state. That was part of the legislation in this budget. That is the intent. If we look at our veterans, one of our most important populations, Senate Bill 4122, basically is out there. What that would do is there's a fund out there, the Veteran Service Fund, that was established a few years ago by the now Speaker, Jason Wentworth, that would provide a certain amount of funding to counties, first based on population count, veteran population, and then also based on just a flat rate to counties. There's a provision in there that would require counties to maintain a certain level of payment or a certain level of whatever they were paying for their veteran services prior to and being eligible for those grants. We were seeking a 1-year relief for that, basically because of COVID, so to ensure every county can have access to those grants. Of course, we've got public health in here, always a big topic for us. We want to make sure public health is properly funded. And especially if you start looking at mental health and what's happened over the past year or so, mental health is also getting more and more attention and needs to be funded. So some highlights there. And then finally, before we get into some other topics quickly, Open Meetings Act, just wanted to highlight that as we get closer to the end of March. We're looking at some changes in order to be able to meet virtually. You would have to have a local state of emergency declared to be able to meet for the end of the year. What we're telling folks is you have to be careful. If you're not going to have a local state of emergency and you want to meet in person, you are going to have to make sure you have provisions available that you meet the DHHS capacity restrictions. So whatever those restrictions are at the end of December 31st, you want to make sure if you are meeting in person, you are able to meet those restrictions, 6 feet, whatever the capacity restriction is for your county building, that sort of thing. Otherwise, we're recommending a hybrid option is going to be best, where you kind of post for a hybrid meeting. You can have people meet in person, but you would also allow for public participation via Zoom, phone, something like that. So that's kind of an update on open meetings. There is legislation out there to extend that March 31st date to the end of June, but we do not expect any sort of movement on that. These are our policy committees. So everything I talked about today comes out of our policy committees. You can see when they meet virtually. They always have had the virtual option even prior to COVID. So if you would like to participate in one of these committees, you just need to fill out an application at micounties.org, and we would be happy to get you on one of those committees. MacPac, we do have a small PAC that we use to help fund former county or help support former county commissioners out there. Currently, we have 31 former county commissioners serving in the legislature, one of the highest numbers we've seen. We do anticipate that to grow over the years. So if you're able to participate, we appreciate it. This is your MAC legislative team. Dina Bosworth, our Director of Government Affairs. She handles our transportation issues, finance issues, general government. Megan Kite, Government Affairs Associate, handles health and human services and judiciary issues. And the newest member of our team, Hannah Sweeney, is our Government Affairs Assistant. If there's ever any questions about anything and you don't know where to go, she's a good starting point and she can get you to the right person. But that's our Government Affairs team. I spoke about our conferences. Of course, we have our virtual conference. The end of this or end of April, our annual conference is the end of September. So hopefully you're able to attend. These are our communication tools. So we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're doing our weekly legislative updates. So hopefully you're getting that. We have an every other month newsletter that we send out. And then we have bumped up a little bit more our weekly podcast. So our weekly podcast is something that typically goes along the lines of current events that are happening in the legislature at the federal level. Same thing as our weekly legislative update. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody?
I'll get you a copy of that presentation too.
Okay,
We're gonna print those off, so.
okay. All right.
I think we're all set.
All right. Well, thanks for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
A lot of that tied in with what we heard last Friday.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. John? You're up.
On behalf of the Clare County Historical Society, our president, Dennis Carbino, is outside and present the 150 sesquicentennial flag, to get that out. Clare County had completed its 150 years yesterday, along with the former village, now city of Clare, both on the same day, legally organized by the state legislature. Farwell comes along in August, so, and the city of Harrison is about 8 or 9 years behind that. So if the chairman, if you came out and get a photograph maybe, or the other commissioners too, in front of the flag, that'd be cool.
Well, why don't we all get our picture taken? How does that sound?
There you go.
All right.
How's my hair?
Get a stretch too.
Get paid to wear that suit for you today.
Go ahead.
Good question. How's my hair look?
Oh, yes.
You all have to come back too.
Oh, I should.
Sure.
I gotta pee. Well, I'm standing. This is the same. Need to take that to the bathroom.
No. Mhm. Hmm? Okay.
Your hair, I love your hair. It's
Thank you. very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hey, probably do adjourn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Call it.
Was that a bad one?
That was one of my township people out there. You remember the fellow that was,
No.
not Judge Ringelberg.
Especially in a building. In other words, I should have said, you are the best. You're the best.
Right. I told my kids they can't use
His
that.
dad married me and my husband.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Did you read the?
Mhm.
Oh, thanks. That's the best there today.
Every day.
Exactly.
It does.
Yeah, I could wait for that. Hundreds a day.
It's just instead of sitting here, I have probably about 20 emails too.
So he wants, did he say anything about the flag?
I want to leave it there.
I probably get about 100, 150 a
Yeah.
day.
So you're good with?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
I think so.
Yes.
okay, just want to make sure.
I take everything with me every time I
Yeah.
go.
I'm good with that.
Oh,
Keep it dusted off.
my boss.
Yeah, it
never
looks good.
PTO time.
Right.
So,
Okay. Second Amendment Sanctuary County discussion.
I left you an email from Gordy because he was not gonna be able to be here today, so. And you also have Michelle's opinion in the.
Yeah.
Communicated with Mr. Mason. He lives in my township. He's only a couple of miles away. And we emailed a little bit. He invited me over for coffee and I haven't been able to get over there yet. And so now he's gone. But he was just real anxious for us to get his message and to have a good conversation about it. And we talked about the bills that the president, is that the right word? Bills that the president sent to the Congress or looked at, changes in gun laws and things like that. And I wanted to talk to Mr. Mason about that too. I'm just real interested in just hearing the opinions, and getting to talk to people that think like that, because I don't know anybody. So.
Right, I know, I read Michelle's recommendation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a pretty solid recommendation to me.
yes.
Yes, it was.
Mhm.
I think that's my opinion is what the prosecutor has recommended.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
else too.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. But
I do too.
we want to table it until Mr. Mason's here to present his side again, or no? I saw I'd throw that out there.
Well, we've gotten quite a few correspondence from Mr. Mason.
Okay.
And we've reviewed them and Michelle's reviewed it. We've had kind of a month to really look it over and to get ourselves familiar with everything.
No, he didn't write that, correct?
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Even with Michelle's recommendation, we're still staying to the oath that we're supporting the Second Amendment.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and I
Yeah,
think this part, we do Michelle's recommendation.
yeah,
I agree with you, Rick.
yeah. I don't think the Second Amendment needs any commitment from us. And if we did something like that, and it came right down to it, where the federal government said we had to turn in our guns, we would be, unless they change the Second Amendment,
Yeah.
we would be breaking the law by not.
I support it.
There's certain things that they can do as
Mhm.
far as enhanced background checks,
Mhm.
limited magazine.
Mhm. Sure.
But as far as confiscating a firearm from you, Second Amendment protects you for that.
Yeah, I feel too.
And with Michelle's recommendation, we're supporting, and we know that she's gonna get support and the sheriff's gonna get support from us to back the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So are we looking for a motion on this?
Well,
No?
No,
don't
not,
have to.
Don't have to?
We could go on record saying that we do support the Second Amendment, but we're not going to take the steps to make Clare County a sanctuary county.
at this point.
I
So
agree.
you could,
I agree.
you could just, you could ask Laura to make sure that that part is in the
Yep.
minutes.
I think, and it's in there. So good deal. Sherry,
Good morning.
good morning.
You can hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Very well.
It's nice to see you. I wish I could be there in person, maybe soon. And there's several new board members that I haven't met before. So hi, I'm Sherry Spolman. I'm the district director for MSU Extension. And part of our memorandum of agreement says that I do an annual report to you every year that talks about what we provide to the citizens of Clare County and some of the both the quantitative and qualitative information related to that. So I'm going to share my screen, and yesterday I sent you like the hard copy of the report, and I apologize I didn't get that in the packet, but I hope you all received that. I have a little PowerPoint presentation here that I will get up and put it into slide mode. Are you all looking at the main presentation at this point?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So before we get started, because there's so many new folks and as a refresher to the others, I want to quickly go over some of the background for MSU Extension. We're the educational arm of county government, and we bring the resources of MSU to the local community on topics that are important to them. We have over 600 faculty and staff members located throughout the state and on campus, and we have a presence in all 83 counties in the state. And we've done that for over 100 years. And we have information and programming in the areas of health and nutrition, agriculture, children and youth development, and community and economic development. That also includes natural resources. Our network across the state really allows us to be able to respond to emerging issues and to have a lot of support statewide for delivering that information. Some of the local issues that are important and have come up recently is youth development, the ag economy, different weather emergencies, farm stress, youth mental health, veterans issues, leadership development. This is the story of the three-legged stool, and MSU Extension often uses this to talk about our funding, which comes from federal government, state government, and then the local investment. Over time, this has really changed, and what's better than a three-legged stool, but a four-legged stool. It's a little bit more stable. We have a lot of partnerships in our programming, and we also are looking more and more at other types of funding because, as you know, a lot of public dollars are really hard to come by today, and they remain fairly stable. And they don't increase as our expenses increase. So we do have gift accounts, and we do a lot of work with grants. This is a pie chart that represents the entire MSU Extension funding from last year. And you can see that our grants has really become a very large piece of that pie. It has really exceeded our other, any of our other funding sources. The gray part of this pie represents our county investments, and that's around 15, 16%, and remains a really important part of the cooperative extension funding model. MSU Extension administratively is broken up into 14 districts across the state. And you can see them here, and you can see that Clare County is a part of District 6. That includes Wexford and Missaukee counties to the north, Osceola and Gladwin on the sides, and Isabella just to the south in Mecosta. So I hope you've had a chance to review the report that was shared with you yesterday. And, you know, as I wrote this opening message to all of you. I was really reflecting on the work of 2020 and what a crazy year it was for everybody. And even though when March hit last year and everybody was forced to go home and we had to change all of our programming to virtual models of programming, in spite of all of that, and because, you know, we couldn't be face to face with the fair, there were so many obstacles, and yet there were also a lot of really successful things that happened. And today I really want to focus on that. And I focused on that in my report. I asked all the staff members to share with me, you know, their success stories because of or in spite of the COVID pandemic. What were the good things that happened? Throughout the state, some of the virtual programs that were really highlights included cabin fever conversation. Everybody was really interested in gardening, and that had more than 500 people every time it met, just to have casual conversations about gardening. And that was a Facebook Live event. We've continued to do that this spring. Michelle Neff and some other local leaders were involved with having a discussion about doing some programming for high school seniors with Mid-Michigan Community College and Mid-Michigan College and some of the local schools. And right in their discussion last spring is when COVID hit. So at the last minute, they had to put this into a virtual format, developed a really good program that had budgeting and credit information in it, Rent Smart, cooking tips, and household cleaning tips. We presented this virtually and promoted it on social media and called it Adulting 101. Immediately, it went virtual or viral, I mean. And we had like 3,000 people interested in it across the state and beyond. So that was really interesting phenomena, knowing that once, you know, all of a sudden a program isn't necessarily local anymore once it goes on the internet. This program has become so successful that Michelle and others throughout the state continue to work on Adulting 101. And the other thing that was really popular was, you know, everybody had those gardens, and so everybody had vegetables to can, and home food preservation became very popular. Our food safety team did all online programming after March, and their reach for their home food preservation classes increased by over 4,000%. We also had a huge web presence, and immediately we put up a new website just for remote learning resources. And then we also, by September, I believe, we put up a site for educational resources for parents, teachers, and homeschool families. In late 2019, we started the rapid response for agriculture, really to respond to weather emergencies. And what we ended up doing in 2020 was shifting that to really support farmers with COVID-19 information on how to keep farm staff safe and how to make sure that we continue to produce necessary food and keep our farms moving forward. So in Clare County, this is staff, and this is the Clare County office team. Michelle Neff, who she really is a statewide educator. She does a lot of work locally, but throughout the state as well. Tegan works throughout the district doing finance and home ownership. Coral Beth is a nutrition instructor for both Gladwin and Clare County. Sherry Landon is the office manager, and Alex Shunk is the 4-H program coordinator. So here are some of the numbers. 2020 was a year of change, and it included some change in the way we report numbers. All of our staff moved to a new reporting system. And so you're going to see some information on here that you didn't necessarily see prior to 2020. And a couple of other things I want to point out is, again, as I said earlier, after March, all of our programs were virtual. Prior to that, almost all of them were face-to-face. most of our programs are series. They're not individual programs. So a participant might attend 6 times or 8 times or more. They usually meet each week. And then many of our programs have now been recorded. And those recordings have been put into a digital format and have been either put on our website or into other teaching modalities that are available for people to pick up online. Our website presence has exploded, and a lot of the programming that we are doing, we're really calling indirect programming once we have gone into that virtual format and put them up online for people to grab. And those numbers are hard to track. Additionally, when we first started doing virtual programs, we weren't very good at collecting county data. And so we know that our numbers are underreported for 2020 by about 30% is what the estimate is. So related to the general fund investment of $58,577, that is the amount that was invested from Clare County for the last few years. And I did a little math and came up with a return on investment of about, for every dollar invested in those county dollars, we received $4.70 in return. I also have some 4-H numbers on this slide, so there's a lot of information here. And one of the most important and exciting things, of course, about 2020 was that we passed a millage in Clare County. We asked the voters if they would support us so that the county didn't have to continually try to do that through the general fund, and we were successful in doing that. And we're so appreciative of all of the folks in Clare County that voted to have this pass. And we're really looking forward to meeting the needs of the county in the years to come. So the amount of money that we're able to put into programming has increased. Just a couple of little stories about some of the local programming. This is about 4-H youth development. Our 4-H coordinator, Alex Shunk's passion is to see youth serve in leadership roles. And in 2019, she was really successful in developing the Youth Leadership Council. The Youth Leadership Council had all sorts of ideas on what they wanted to do last year. And of course, all of that needed to shift. But one of the things they did was they organized a virtual showmanship workshop where the Clare County 4-H youth were taught how to handle their animals and interact with a judge during a show. And they actually did some videos of themselves. The 4-H Leadership Council also did an animal costume contest where the 4-H members were encouraged to dress up their animals and themselves, and they shared those pictures. They had a really fun time with that. There were many programs offered for Clare County youth last year, including Winter Blast, which was in person. From tree to teepee, remember the toilet paper shortage last year? Well, we had a program on where toilet paper comes from, and that was a forestry program.
Great.
Mock interviews. Arts and crafts. We had kits that were sent to youth. They did holiday activity kits. There was a gingerbread house decorating contest with the youth in Gladwin County. And we also had a program called Ocean Explorers for the whole district and really beyond the district. Pictured here is Madison Dix. She's an educator from the New England Aquarium. And Maddie was furloughed last year when there was the shutdown. And so she wanted to continue to talk about marine biology, and we grabbed her and she did some excellent programs for us. In April, she took everyone through a day in the life of a giant Pacific octopus. And it was so much fun. She led a whole summer's worth of presentations on topics like electric eels, orcas, sea turtles, narwhals, seahorses, and coral reefs. Tegan provides education and support for people who are looking at becoming first-time home buyers, who are at risk of having their home foreclosed upon, need budgeting assistance, or behind in property taxes. During the pandemic, she had to do a lot of shifting to make sure that she could meet the needs of people who might be technologically challenged. And one of her success stories demonstrates, I think, her willingness to really go above and beyond to help a client. The Step Forward Michigan program contacted Tegan, letting her know that her client's application to have her property taxes taken care of from 2017 to present was approved. But her documents hadn't been received in the treasurer's office. And nobody could get a hold of the woman because her phone number had been discontinued. And so Tegan went to work and she went back and she looked through all of her notes and her records to find all of the past phone numbers that this woman had ever used to call her. And she started calling them and ended up talking to one of her neighbors. And her neighbor didn't have a phone number for her, but her neighbor did suggest, well, maybe you can find her on social media. So Tegan did. She found her on social media. She was able to send her a message, get in touch with her, make a connection with her, and get the forms signed and notarized because Tegan is a notary public. Tegan also contacted Step Forward Michigan, got an extension so that the woman was able to get all of her paperwork in on time and thereby preventing tax foreclosure on this woman's home. This picture is really a picture of some of the other staff that serve Clare County. There are a lot of them. And in the annual report that I provided you, I do have a little bit of a story about Paul Gross, who is the field crops educator, does a lot of work here. Cable Thurlow, who's right next door in Gladwin County. Paul's in Isabella County, that's his home county. Cable does work with the grazing community with livestock and mostly beef. And then also Eric Karbowski, who is our farm stress educator, and where he talks about the important work that he's doing not only here, but across the state in farm stress. So as we move forward, we're still working virtually. We hope to be able to go back to face-to-face as soon as that becomes safe. And we want to make sure that we're here to support the people in Clare County and looking to see what the opportunities here exist to make sure we're meeting community need all the time. One way that we do that is we have an advisory committee, and I want to thank Commissioner Bristol, Sandy Bristol, for serving on that. I've included a list of the advisory committee. This is for the entire district. And Ken Brown is also serving on that from Clare County. We have a commissioner and a community representative from each of the counties in the district on the council. We meet quarterly. And with that, I will, I'll stop sharing my screen. And if there's any questions, I'll take them. Comments?
Sandy?
Oh, okay. I was wondering if you could talk for just a minute more on the farm stress, because when we had that advisory committee meeting, I was really impressed with the program, and lots of our townships are agricultural. And if you could just tell the rest a little bit more about how important that is and to get the word out.
Absolutely. It was about 1.5 years ago, we hired our first farm stress educator, and we actually have another opening right now for another position. Eric Karbowski lives in Isabella County, and he's our farm stress educator. He has a background both in agriculture and in the community mental health system, so it's a really good fit for him. And we have developed educational programs for the ag community, both for individuals and for people who work with folks who work in the ag community, so that they have information and knowledge about what to look for when somebody is in stress. One of the other really neat things that we were able to do this past year was a teletherapy program with Pine Rest. We developed that, and so that if there is a farmer or somebody who's working in the ag industry who needs to talk to a counselor, we can refer them to that program, and they, and I think it's free of charge at this point because we've received grant dollars to be able to do that. And that's been really helpful. There's a stigma in seeking help for mental health issues, but Eric is doing such a nice job of talking to the various groups throughout the different communities about how important it is to reach out and get help, and that we're all human and we all need it from time to time. And it's really gone a long way. He's a great guy to talk to, and he is open for anybody to call him and talk to him at any time, and he will put anybody in touch with the right resources. And I would like to be able to offer him to talk to any group, but we know he's really busy. However, he's more than happy to do that if he can do it. So feel free to ask me or to contact Eric directly. One of the really cool programs that came up this year, and it's on Paul Gross's sheet on your annual report, is the Cover Crops team started a weekly lunch break series. And so they do a Facebook Live presentation every Thursday at noon, and it includes different ag educators and Eric Karbowski. So you have all these people engaged in learning more about, what's trending right now with soil health or with cover crops. And Eric always does a little 5-minute blurb on the importance of stress management and mental health. And so sometimes, people get some messages they don't think they need, but they always appreciate them.
Yes, and I think your point about it, mental health concerns being a stigma, is like really probably the most important thing, the most important reason why we would talk about this to our township people, the farmers and stuff. Got to get over that fear of going to a doctor or seeking help.
Yeah, and what I just said, I might not have said it as good as I could have. I think it's one thing for people to sign up to take a class about stress reduction or mental health things. It's another thing to try to integrate it into an existing program, because people don't sign up to say, I need help. But sometimes when we hear some of the things that are going on and what those signs and symptoms are related to stress, that's when that realization hits us that, oh yeah, I mean, farmers, it was tough for farmers before the pandemic, right? There's a lot of economic stress in the ag community, and there's also farm succession, where all of a sudden, these farms that have been in the family for 3, 4, 5 or more generations aren't economically feasible anymore in order, to continue to do that. And so there's that type of stress also on how to get out of the agricultural business or the farming business.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Okay, Melissa, you're up.
Okay, my name is Melissa Townsend. I'm from the Clare Conservation District. We are a consultant for the county for the gypsy moth suppression program. The past few weeks, we've been mailing around 11,000 letters to spray blocks and areas affected by swath offset. In that letter, we explained that a chemical, which is really a bacteria that is commonly found in the soil, safe for humans, fish, pets, etc., will be applied aerially over their property. With those letters, we have opt-out forms. Individuals have an option to opt out just their property and waive the 600-foot buffer. Or they have the opportunity to just waive their property or stay in the program. Unfortunately, we have received 45 opt-outs with 17 waived buffers. When we say 600 feet, it's from the property line, the perimeter of the property. Unfortunately, if we get enough opt-outs in an area, the spray block is eliminated. That was the case for Block 31 Muskegon Banks. Piney Woods, White Birch, City of Harrison, Browns Haven Sub, and Woodstock has had opt-outs. People can submit a FOIA request for only the names of the opt-outs. I would like to let you know that I will be traveling to Ovid March 30th to witness the calibration and the certification of AL's aerial applicators, the airplanes used into the suppression program. We will also be holding an informational webinar for landowners with Roscommon County. That would be virtually May 5th from 4 to 5 p.m. Information will be on our website. With these opt-outs, I was able to include some areas that were close to being treated, but we ran out of funding because we only have so much funding. It is on the townships to relay that information to their landowners affected.
Did you give the townships, the city, did you give them the up-to-date maps that show areas are not going to be sprayed?
I've updated it on our website, clarecd.org, under the gypsy moth tag, gypsy moth populations. I will be sending a map out shortly to commissioners, City of Harrison, and townships.
Melissa, White Birch, is it White Birch in its entirety? Is it not gonna be sprayed?
It will be treated. It's just we've had a few opt-outs of the 600-foot buffer. So it's starting to look like Swiss cheese.
Okay, so there will be some spots in White Birch.
Yes.
There will be others that won't. And your map shows this.
Yes.
And some of the problem, like we talked yesterday, one person in the city of Harrison has opted out with their boundaries because it's a small lot. 77 people aren't going to get sprayed because that one person opted out.
Right.
So bigger chunks may not have, affect that many people, but 77 of them are expecting to get sprayed and aren't going to.
Sure. And I think it's the key that you get that map out is to, if you can print it in the paper so that people understand.
Yes, I plan on printing it. I will be sending you a more detailed map so you guys have information as landowners approach you and have questions. I would like to let you guys know my door is always open. I'm a part-time employee, but I'm willing to meet on a Monday or anytime.
Have you met with Stephanie yet?
We talked over the phone and had a good meeting.
Okay, great. Yeah.
I was told by some of the township residents that you also have a list of who's being sprayed. Some of them they're on the map, but not on the list, or some of them are on the list and not on the map.
So we outsource, because the county outsourced our ArcGIS program, our mapping program. We had Amalgam I did the spray blocks and he digitized them for our aerial applicator. He provided the list. After we sent them out, we met with equalization and determined that the addresses used, it went back to the second landowner, meaning there was for example, if your land is owned by a land contract holder, it went to both.
Okay.
Another thing that we do is we do swath offset areas. So if you are next to a spray block, you will also get a letter because of its aerial application. So they may receive drifting. What we also use that swath offset letters for is if we have opt-outs that can, if somebody has 20 acres and they decide to opt out of the spray block program, we can add those people in.
Last time you were here, we talked about the cost. And I thought you said that you were going to get some more information on exactly and specifically the reason for the increase in price.
He sent that, he emailed that to me and I forwarded it on to everybody
It was the cost
a
of,
while ago, but I can dig it back up again.
it was the cost of fuel. He has several pilots. But pre-COVID, they were able to share a room.
Was that itemized or just general cost?
It was itemized.
It was. Okay, yeah, so if you'd send that to me again, appreciate it.
Also, the last time we talked, we talked about we're pretty much getting held hostage because you said we only have one option. We're start to look process to trying to reach out and find other people.
I will be networking with other entities on the 30th, but for this amount of acres, there's other spray companies, but they use helicopters. With an acreage this great, we have to look at aerial, and they have to be forest canopy certified. And unfortunately, or fortunately, Al's is only one.
Only one what, in Clare County?
No, in the state.
In the state?
And he's not from Michigan, is he?
He's from Ovid.
Old Michigan.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, have we reached out to other crop duster out there, see if they want to get certified, or have we, I mean, we got to think out of the box. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're being held hostage by one company. So we got to do our work to find out if there's anybody else who can do it.
I'm working with other suppression programs to find it, but the consensus is it is Al. I've worked with Roscommon, Malcolm.
Well, currently it's Al.
It's currently out, but we just go ahead.
Right, but I mean, certainly we can find out if anyone else wants to become
Yeah,
certified.
so there's a solution for every issue. We just gotta
Exactly.
reach out. We gotta think out of the box, start looking.
Exactly.
We really have to start right now because next year is right around us.
Oh, yeah.
So it has to be started now.
I agree. I agree. So if you can do that, maybe get back, when you come back again, you can let us know what you found.
Okay.
There's got to be other companies that are
Or
jump in.
in my travels, I got 10 crop dusters in my mind thinking of, we need to reach out to them, see if they're interested in getting certified.
How big of a process is that to get certified? And you're going to Ovid to be there for Al's certification?
Yes, so we're the Michigan Department of Ag. They calibrate the sprayers every year.
Okay, so that's what this is about.
Yup.
Okay.
They store them over winter. They want to make sure everything is run right.
Okay.
I mean, there's even a crop dusting company right here, in, I think it's Isabella County,
Right.
Denton's own it. I mean,
Yep.
Okay.
there's
Yep.
several options that you can explore.
How are you going, how come you're going to Ovid to watch that? I thought that's pretty interesting.
There's been questions raised on the effectiveness, and I like to see things in person. I don't,
Mhm. Yep, I got
is
it.
better than,
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Now, is that spray 40% effective? Is that, or is it 60% effective?
it depends. That's why I go out there when it's close to hatching. I monitor populations. It's been close to 70 instances, but I go out there, I check egg masses, I check hatching, and weather plays into a factor too.
big time, yeah.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just like to commend her on the job that she's doing. She's handling it very, very well. We've had a really good discussion about different opportunities, and she was able to fill me in perfectly as to the requirements and whatnot. So, and as far as the future, I mean, that's obviously a discussion for later, but at this point, like she said, she's at a mode where she's got to monitor landowners, what's coming in the letters and whatnot. So, you know, in going out in the field and checking the trees. So I'd like to commend you on a good job that you're doing.
It's complicated, isn't it? Very
Yeah,
complicated.
I think it's a good idea. You're going to Ovid, you know, to check it out
Mhm.
firsthand. But
Yeah.
we do need to look forward. We need to look at other possibilities here.
And if you need help, reach out.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
Like I said, feel free, send me an email, call me, stop by our office. We're at the second floor now. Anything you ask.
I do feel taking away from this, that the main message is we need to help you get the word out. There are going to be people not sprayed. And as a commissioner, that's been my biggest complaint is when the gypsy moths come out and they're pooping on everybody's car.
yeah.
Why didn't I get sprayed? Well, if we can get that out ahead of time, maybe stop some irate people, or at least they'll know
Yeah.
ahead of time.
So we have a Facebook page.
Mhm.
I mean, Facebook is good for getting information out. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know why we couldn't add something to that.
I think we should.
The Conservation District has a really.
Yes, we have a very active Facebook page. I post regularly
Yeah.
and I will add the map. I just wanted to give you a forewarning of what's coming down the pipeline, so you guys can act accordingly.
Yeah, Arthur Township, I talked to you about Arthur Township already. They were curious.
Yep.
They understood when I told them you don't spray on agricultural land, so.
Yep, and like I said, with these opt-outs, one of the pros is we're mid 19,000 acres, so I can add some as needed. But do note that the townships will be having to help us get the word out because the mailing is slow and
When we have so many people opt out, do we get a reduction in the rate?
Al charges us for the acres he sprays. So yes,
So we do.
but I try and spray as many people as I can.
Mhm.
Rather, you know,
I think that's good
Yes,
because there's going to be people that weren't on the list that are going to get to be on there now.
right,
And we
right.
need to use that money
I agree.
because the people voted on it to,
Yeah, they
you know,
won't get it.
and,
We're not getting
yeah,
it.
if we didn't use it all, that would be
We-
bad.
So we have to explain to them
Yep.
why they can't be sprayed.
Why they're not sprayed
Yep. Okay.
and getting a hold of the township supervisors,
Mhm.
city, village people. Not the village people, people of the village.
Yeah, aren't you a village person? Okay. How's the tree sale
If
going?
they, sorry, that's Stephanie. If you could provide some pictures, if you have any, about how devastating the gypsy moths have been. Maybe a visual would help folks better. It was horrible in a couple areas we visited last year in a little further north, in Roscommon County. And there's so many oak areas in Harrison and our whole county that these people have no idea what these trees are gonna look like.
Yeah,
Right. I think I think the visual is clear. I mean, I haven't heard anybody not complaining about
Yeah.
the gypsy moth issue last year.
Yeah.
The key is you're gonna have to make sure that everybody understands why these acres are not being sprayed
Mhm.
and why these acres are being sprayed, and the maps, I mean, if you have to, I mean, you could get a hold of 9 and 10 will come out and do a story for you. I mean, communication is gonna be the key
Mhm.
to the public. You're gonna have some people upset, but the people have to understand the parameters of the program.
Yes,
and why they're not being sprayed.
we are a suppression program, not a complete eradication program.
Is there any other application other than aerial?
Area is effective. I mean, to ask,
I'm just thinking about the areas that's gotta have the 600-foot buffer. If you can't take the aerial, is there early applications they can go around that buffer to get some of those people that want it?
so, around the perimeter of that 600-foot buffer, they're gonna get some swath offset. They may not even know that they were included in the opt-out. But there are some, but it is very, very costly. True Green sprays for gypsy moss, and the quotes that I've received, of course, it depends on how many trees, how large your property is, but it's,
With the money we're saving for not having the aerials, I mean, you have some left over in your budget. I mean, can you see where the worst spots are that's not getting covered there? We can do that, or is that an option, or?
so what I do with the opt-outs is I fill in areas that are bad, and like, let's say north of them's bad, the south of them, I will include them. Like, I worked with Dale on some areas. I include other people in the spray area.
So really, there's no money left is what she's saying, because we use that to spray the next worst affected people. So there's not a surplus there.
We also have to retain funding for our counters in the fall to determine areas.
And there's some things that you can tell landowners when you're at like your township board meetings, that they can do if they're not gonna be sprayed. There are some things that they can do to help alleviate the problem with trapping the caterpillars, when they're bigger and they feed up in the canopy of the trees during the day, or no, at night, and then they come down during the day, and you can put a burlap wrap around the tree. Have you heard of that? And then, that and the pheromone traps, that was pretty effective around my house.
Also, as soon as May start, the middle of May, get a hose attachment, fill it with soap, put it on your hose and spray your property. As the caterpillar gets larger, add some vinegar.
Yep.
What is our budget per year for gypsy moss?
With the millage, we did 1 mil. Which
$1 million.
$1 million.
$1 million.
Right.
Is that a year? Is that for the whole 5 years?
That's for a year.
Here,
Okay, so we should be all right.
I'm hoping to have my counters on the ground mid-August and determine where we're at on population for gypsy moss.
Is now a good time to scrape off the egg masses?
Now is a perfect time.
I can only go up this far. Yeah, that's another thing you can tell your people in the townships and that.
And make sure they do not throw the egg masses on the ground, that they soak them in a bucket of warm soapy water for 48 hours.
Yep. So you'll have buckets of egg masses decomposing, but it's better than having them to eat your trees. And it really does help around the house, and that's mostly where people get upset. It's raining poop on them when they go outside to get in their car.
I'm gonna try and spray home defense
What's that?
on the egg masses before it's time they hatch.
What is that? Is it a pesticide?
Yep,
Okay,
You probably get it up here at the hardware, right?
I'm not gonna say that.
okay. But does that work? Spraying them with a
I
pesticide?
sprayed the caterpillars with it last year and they dropped out of the trees.
They say
Killed them dead.
neem oil too, but
Nope.
Okay.
Neem oil on egg masses.
We gotta turn that off pretty soon.
I did.
Shut your phone down.
Okay.
So is there any other questions for me?
Oh, the tree sale.
Oh, yeah, our fruit trees are all sold out. So that's going pretty good. It's been a hard year to get trees and everybody wants to plant. I call it COVID fever.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you still have
So-
like pines and.
Yes.
But you had no apple trees or anything like.
Nope, unfortunately, they were sold out. It was record breaking.
I'll bet. Okay.
that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yup, because just to give the new commissioners a background, the Conservation District is funding through fundraisers like our tree sale. 3,000 allocation from Board of Commissioners, thank you for that. And contracts like soil erosion and gypsy moss suppression.
You still have 9, Bart?
Yes, I have 20 left, so get them fast.
All righty, well, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa. Okay. On to Justice Committee. Animal control. Animal control, Rick, can you take A? Hey.
Motion to accept spay neuter grant for 270 OH Inc. The amount of 6,500 with the county match and allow chair to sign.
No, second that.
Roll call, Lori.
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Pittsburgh. Majeski,
Yes.
Brown. Samantha Brown,
Stephanie.
Stephanie Brown, sorry.
She gone?
I'm still here. Yes.
Good. All right.
Asplund,
Yes.
Haskell,
Yes.
motion carried.
Dale, can you take B?
Sure, to accept the grant from 27OH Inc. in the amount of $6,300 without a county match for the purchase of a computer software and allow chair to sign.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Majeski.
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bankin,
Yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
Pittsburgh,
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes. Samantha, can you take C?
Motion to accept the Michigan Department of Agricultural and Rural Development's 2021 Animal Welfare Grant in the amount of $6,480 for the purpose of spay neuter without a county match.
I'll second it.
Roll call, Lori.
Pittsburgh,
Yes.
Majeski.
Yes.
Bankin,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Asplund.
Yes.
Haskell,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay,
Thank you again.
thank you.
Yes, I mean, there, she pushes and pushes them for the grants they do out there, and it's great to know that.
It is.
Those spay neuter
Mine.
clinics are
Oh,
phenomenal.
yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, I
They do
took
a great
11
job.
cats in there one year,
Wow.
and 9 of them at one time, and had all 9 of them coming out of the anesthetic in their carriers in the living room. That was a trip.
I bet.
Yep.
Okay, Sandy, you take number 2.
2, GIS address point gap fill project participation letter. Motion to approve the letter of participation signifying Clare County's agreement to participate in the GIS address point gap fill project funded through the National Telecommunication and Information Administration and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and allow chair to sign.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Those are really big words.
No,
Okay,
that was really good. You went right through that without even stuttering.
it wasn't numbers. Okay.
Roll call, Lori.
Bristol,
Yes.
Majeski.
Yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
Pittsburgh,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bankin,
Yes.
Haskell,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, next up, Eagle Scout honors. Got a couple of them. Bronwyn, could you do A?
Sure. To extend congratulations to Mr. Josh Camp for attaining the Eagle Scout rank and approve a letter to be sent from the Claren County Board of Commissioners and allow the board to sign.
I'll second that.
Mhm.
Roll call, Lori.
Asplund,
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Majeski.
Yes.
Pittsburgh, Bankin,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Haskell,
Yes. Stephanie, can you take B?
I'd like to pass on that. I'm also running the class right now, but I'm listening.
Got it. All right.
Multitasking, that's awesome.
Rick, you're up.
B, motion to extend congratulations to Mr. Riley Hayer for attending the Eagle Scout rank and approve a letter to be sent from Clare County Boards of Commissioners and allow the board to sign.
Second. Should that be the chair to sign? Board chair. to
Oh.
sign?
Yes, thank you. Sorry,
Sorry, who seconded?
Bronwyn.
Brownman.
Thank you.
Roll call, Lori.
Rankin,
Yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
Pittsburgh,
Yes.
Majeski.
Yes.
Brown
Yes.
and Haskell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Do we know what townships these guys are from?
No.
Josh Camp is a Clare High School.
Yep.
Riley's Clare High School too. I
Oh,
think,
thanks.
yeah, they're both from Clare High School.
All right, thanks.
Hey. So before you read the next motion, or whoever reads the next motion,
Dale's up.
I can fill those blanks in for you.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea.
To allow Harrison Do It Best Lumber. And I took that right off
I'm going to
I
abstain.
took that right off the realtor's agreement, the buy and sell agreement. And the amount is $20,000
For all of those are a piece.
for all of those.
Are they bigger or smaller than the last parcels? Oh, wait, we're not talking right now.
Oh, you have discussion.
Okay.
I had no part in this.
No
Yeah,
problem.
we'll be talking about that. Okay, go ahead.
All right,
Dale,
sure. To allow Harrison Do It Best Center
lumber.
to lumber.
God's sakes.
Write that down. To allow Harrison Do It Best Lumber to purchase lots 15, 16, 17, and 18 in Harrison Industrial Park sub in the amount of $20,000 with proceeds to be placed in the airport fund.
For a second.
I'll second. For the sake of discussion. Okay.
Those lots are no different than the other ones,
That we
the
got,
other lots that are there.
that we got $10,000 a piece for.
Yes.
So why are we only getting 20,000 for 4 lots?
Because that's what they offered. And that I'm just bringing that to you. You don't have to accept it. I'm just
Oh, okay.
saying that that's what they
I
offered.
can explain. I will talk for Harrison Lumber. Obviously, I'm not gonna
Okay.
vote. But when we bought 2 lots on the road, that is what we paid for those lots. When Headco broke up and allowed us to buy them.
Okay.
We paid $5,000 a piece. But, so that's where we started with when our board of directors at Harrison Lumber put this proposal together. They started what we paid for the other ones.
Okay.
Explain it again, how the $10,000 got down to $5,000? I'm missing something
It's
there.
5,000.
Oh, some.
5,000 apiece.
Oh, you weren't paying $10,000? Wait, we got.
Some lots were sold for higher amounts, but their particular lots that they purchased were only 5.
Which, now I'm confused because I thought they bought 2 lots already.
We own 2 lots there.
And they paid 5,000 a piece for them.
Okay,
So that's what the first offer is, but I'm not saying that it is not negotiable either, that if it's not approved by the board, that it wouldn't be we would be willing to negotiate also.
How long ago were the sale of the other 2 lots?
How long has it been since Headco?
2005,
Yeah,
The ones that were paid 10,000?
2005. Oh, 10,000?
yeah, that's the ones I'm talking about. I thought that was just very recently.
You haven't sold any Headco lots,
Oh,
any of
so
the
these are-
airport lots lately.
Wasn't that transit?
Transit took over some of them.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
So who purchased the lots for $10,000?
yeah, just since I've been a commissioner here.
That'd be transit, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes, it was transit.
The transit bought those?
Yes.
Yes.
Since this round of being a commissioner,
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Let me
Or
go grab
before.
my phone.
Huh?
before,
Oh, that's just in the last.
we haven't
Don't
sold
about anything that's grown.
So then the transit bought those 2 lots for $10,000?
no one's bought any of those
When the transit, they bought lots over there,
but a while ago,
but right, I know he's done it recently.
not this year.
There really hasn't been any interest in them lots.
We haven't talked about it in the last 2 months.
No,
Are you?
Yes, we talked about it. It was brought before us, but we didn't vote or anything on it because there was 5 lots there. Which one, the transit had the right to first refuse.
Yeah, that- 'cause that's-
Harrison Lumber took that lot off from their offer. So it was 25,000, the first offer, but it never got that far. We didn't vote on it.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Weren't the last parcels purchased from transit? I think is how that worked.
Well, they weren't purchased from the county, they were purchased from the transit. Oh,
Is that what I'm thinking?
that makes a difference then.
Yeah.
Okay, and those were sold for 10,000 apiece?
I don't know what they were sold for. I'm just saying transit owned the property.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And we got a portion, I think we got a portion of it, but I can't remember the whole
Yeah.
amount and everything. I would have to see it.
You're saying the county sold the transit, and transit turned around and sold to somebody else. Those lots.
Just getting info on it.
Oh, good grief.
My airport stuff.
Well, they kind of explained it while you were gone.
Okay, good.
Because Dale and I were kind of remembering a $10,000 parcel sale. And so Rick helped us.
Okay,
All right.
all right.
So the understanding is the county sold the lots to transit.
Yes,
Transit turned around and sold those lots. to
To
somebody.
who?
okay.
Did they sell them to,
We bought ours from Hedco,
when? A long time? Just,
2005.
okay, got
Yes,
it.
that was when Randy Taronas was the county administrator at that time. He had reached out to the Aeronautics Commission because that property was airport property. And in order to sell that,
Mhm.
we had to get permission from them
Okay, got it. Yep.
to do that.
Mhm. It's okay. You don't have to dig through there. I think I'm good now.
Okay.
Dale, are you good? Are you still on? As far as we can tell. we're good?
Oh, boy.
Okay,
That was good.
all right. So these 4 parcels.
And I don't think you're ever gonna be able to do anything on one of those, right? Like 18, lot 18, isn't that?
Are those zone lots?
Approach 20 foot.
No, I'm talking about, somebody said there was swamp or something or other on it, but, okay, anyways.
there's no low ground back there.
Yeah.
So there's low ground back there. I walked it.
Okay,
It'd take a lot to develop it,
all right.
You're good with selling them for 5,000?
but what they're worth. Have we had any interest in it in how many years?
We haven't had any.
We'll call Lori.
Majeski,
Yes.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Yes.
Asplin,
Yes.
Haskell.
Abstain.
Motion carried.
Okay. Mance, can you take the tax anticipation note?
Before you do that, when you read that motion, can you say borrow up to that amount?
So it's amended.
Thank you. Because it may be lower than that. In my talks with Jenny.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 21-06, authorizing the county to borrow up to $1,750,000 in anticipation of collection of taxes. Tax anticipation and note and approve all required parties to sign as specified.
Question, do we pay any fees or interest on?
I think there is.
Yes.
It's like a 1% or something, isn't it?
Have we always had it, each year taken out tax anticipation notes?
No,
Is this the first year in a while?
no, we've been doing them.
Since 2008.
2008.
It might have been 2007 or
Yeah, I
2000.
think, yeah, because Bill
You
was,
know what the fees and interest rates are on that?
Yeah, the bond council fee is around $10,000, and then the interest rate, it varies depending on the year. We've had pretty good years. I think last year it was 1.65.
That's the advantage of having a large, or I should say, a healthy fund balance.
Mhm.
If you don't have. to do
Correct. If we had a healthier fund balance, we would not have to borrow cash to get us through until tax come back in.
But you feel we really have to do that this year?
Oh, yeah.
We do.
We don't have the money to.
if we don't, then Jenny is unable to pay out of the delinquent tax for all of the townships in the village and cities.
What happens right now is I am advancing from the delinquent tax fund to help float the general fund until the property taxes come back in because it's cyclical. But in April, I have to pay out delinquent taxes. And so I'll have to call that money back in because all of the millage entities by law need to get their money so they can run at 100% until the taxes come back out. So that's the purpose of the delinquent tax fund, is to make sure the millage entities can run for the year. So they get paid all of their money up front, none of theirs. Once they're delinquent, it just becomes, we become the collecting agency for that.
My hope is that next year we won't have to do this.
It's all of our hopes.
Exactly.
Not a lot of money in fund balance if we're gonna achieve that.
Well, that's
Maybe
our
it'll
goal.
work
It
out.
sounds like there may be opportunity, so it's just too new for us yet, but Tracy and I had met and discussed some things that Mr. Curry was talking about earlier. So we're trying to strategize to try to work on something with that with the commissioners.
Good.
So we don't have to do that.
Good.
Good.
Good. Okay.
Roll call.
Pitchford.
Yes.
Majewski.
Yes.
Bankin.
Yes.
Yes. Brown.
Yes.
Bristol.
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, Sandy, can you take the next motion?
Statutory Finance Committee meetings. Okay. Monthly expenditures. Motion to approve the expenditures for the month of February. Up one?
Up one.
Statutory.
Oh, wait, yeah, okay, good. Thank you. To approve statutory finance committee meeting minutes of February 22nd, 2021 and March 8th, 2021 in the amount of $68,002.37 and $86,941.79.
So moved.
A second.
I thought Asplin already did.
Brown already did. Yep.
Go.
Roll call.
Bristol.
Yes.
Asplin. Yes. Majewski.
Yep.
Bankin.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Pitchford.
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Can you take three?
Yes, motion to approve the expenditures for the month of February 2021 in the amount of $2,489,756.34 with the general fund expenditures totaling $872,825.14.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Asplin. Yes. Bristol.
Yes.
Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Yes.
Majewski.
Yeah.
Brown.
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Rick, can you take four?
For budget adjustments. To approve budget adjustments, number 21 through 39, 21 through 47, 21 through 52, 21 through 53, 21-59, and 21-61 in the amount of $93,384, $545,000, $13,000, $11,500, $1,138.92, and $4,387 to be distributed.
Impressive.
Mhm.
Flip through those. Second that.
Roll call, Lori?
Bankin,
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Jeske,
Yes.
Pitchford,
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
5.
Sure. To amend the claims policy, to add Verizon to the pre-authorized claims list.
Oh, can step up in time.
Roll call.
Jeske,
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Pitchford,
Yes.
Bankin,
Yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Hazard pay discussion.
I had brought copies of those to you in the past and just wanted to place that back on the agenda for discussion. See how the board felt about it. We've had situations in the past where we've been able to collect grant funds for hazard pay. And they've told us no on the comp time. And informed us that the reason they were telling us no with regards to even giving them additional funds is because we didn't have a policy in place.
And we turned down, who did we turn down for hazard pay? I thought community development wanted hazard pay.
Yep.
Senior services.
Didn't you want hazard pay too?
Yep, she did.
They wanted hazard pay.
And if you know, both of those policies that are in there are for both the sheriff's department and
I mean, at this point, how can we approve some and not all?
yep.
Yeah, you're right.
Well.
Well, and that's why we have two policies in here.
What if? Yeah, the policy doesn't mean we have to pay it. Who authorizes us to
If
pay
fi-
that?
If financially possible, it says.
But who authorizes and says it's a hazard?
Who determines it's financially responsible?
You,
So,
the board.
And would this be coming out of the county code relief money or general
Well,
fund?
what we're looking at, I think, is just approve policies. Is that what you're looking at? That's it?
We are not, we're looking at approving these policies now. And from this point forward, it would be at the discretion of the Board of Commissioners whether or not to pay out hazard pay. But we would have a policy in place and have the ability to do that and also be able to use that for grants
Right.
in
So
the,
what you're looking for is just approval of the policies for right now.
yes,
So it'd be in our best interest to have the policy so we could look for grants.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
yeah, that makes sense. Second.
Roll call.
May I say something
Mhm.
quickly first? Would that policy be able to be amended to, instead of saying state and federal grants, because all grants, because the grant that I had was
Yeah.
not a state or federal grant, it was a individual person.
we can do that.
with a grant.
There you go.
This is,
We can do that.
I don't have a problem with that either.
Okay.
okay, so Dale made the motion and Bronwyn seconded.
Yep.
Right. And then
Jeske,
Yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
Bankin,
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hitchford,
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes. Okay. IT discussion and IT right proposal.
So, Jesse is here and I wanted to let you know that I received the proposal back from IT Right as it relates to, it would be, IT Right would have one person on site, 1 day a week, or what was the other one, Jesse?
Had a 1 day a week option or a 2 day a week option, and the second day a week option was 10 or 20,000 more expensive a year.
Yes, so the 1 day a week option was $120,000 a year and the 2 day a week was $150,000 a year.
Wow. Now, Lori, you said for just your department, you had funds in your department for it. What was the cost?
14, wasn't it?
It was 14 initially and then 12 every year after.
Or somebody cheaper than.
Yeah, we just say we talked about that. Yeah. And that would be a third person all the time or part-time.
But before we hire a person, have we got to what's causing this? Do we know exactly why you stretch so thin? Who prioritizes it? I mean,
I thought we had this discussion at the last meeting was that
who sets a
COVID, which was an issue with sick people and hours and stuff like that. It just kind of snowballed and everything accumulated up and got way behind.
Okay.
Am I correct with that?
That's pretty correct. And we're a small IT department to begin with, and we support a pretty good sized network and have some pretty diverse needs. So we're already essentially running a skeleton crew, and COVID did not make it better, that's for sure.
Which I understand that. Our IT team for 400 people is four people. So my first question is, okay, we're putting a Band-Aid on something that we really don't know what the problem is. I mean, so who prioritizes the work? Who sets the parameters for the prioritizing the work? And I understand getting behind in COVID, but is this just a short-time fix to get you caught back up? Or is this a continuing problem? I'm just asking these questions. That's what I would ask my guys at work too. What's causing this? We gotta get to the root cause to fix it. Then I don't mind spending money on it. I gotta know what's going on.
I'm the one that would prioritize the work and which work gets done first. We try to handle anything that's emergency services first. Secondly is anything that would compromise the safety, security, and operation of the network. Thirdly, we want to go after anything that's preventing people from getting their job done. Everything else would fall kind of on like the back burner. If there's appropriate workarounds, then it usually gets kind of set to the back burner while we're working on more priority items.
Okay, which I understand that. But before I feel comfortable spending money on it, I mean, this has been going on for what, 6 months? I just go back to like our meetings with Wentworth. We couldn't get on the screens. And now my understanding that the internet was down for how long for the county for that Monday? You know, just the little problems we got here. I feel that we should start tracking what our problems, I mean, what the priority is, so we can see it before we make this decision. I mean, how much work's getting done during the day? I mean, so we can see what's going on.
We can certainly start tracking some time and laying some things out. As of right now, we haven't really been tracking our time just because we're salaried employees and we're trying to get the work done as quickly and efficiently as possible. So we've not really had any need, or no one's asked us up to this point to log hours as an hourly employee would.
Which I understand, I really appreciate that. But until you can make a good decision, you gotta know how much time it takes to do stuff. So we can say, okay, you guys spend this much time here, we need one more person. But right now, we're just shooting at a hip. I mean, we really don't have the numbers. So we really need, come back with, okay, this is what we're doing. We're spending so much time in this, and this is why we gotta have that. At least that's just my opinion.
So what would that entail?
Jesse? This is Stephanie Brown. You guys are working with 2 people, correct?
That's right.
Okay. So what I see, and just from my involvement with the county, they not only handle everyday functioning things like printers and whatnot, they also have to handle emergencies. And just from my work in other corporations, 2 people to run an entire infrastructure, multiple software systems, multiple backup systems, servers, et cetera, and to deal with customer service, which means internal, is just, it's not feasible. They do need help, especially when they're getting calls from dispatch at 3, 4 a.m. in the morning saying they got a red light. So there are a lot of other variables, and just the massive amount of work that they do warrants additional help.
Hey, Stephanie, you say that, but how do you show us that worked? I mean, we gotta know what the work.
Jesse, don't you guys, Jesse, you have a project system, correct? Where you're tracking incidents that you need to cover?
We do, however, it's treated more like a help desk rather than a time tracking system. It does have the option to put time in if you slow down enough to actually do that, but it doesn't cover all the times that we get called for an emergency or somebody just calls us up on the phone and we fix something. It doesn't cover our project time, any administration.
Right.
So it's not really a good indication of how much time we're really spending on things, because that's only the things that people put in a help desk ticket for. That's not really a time logging system.
One way, that's a starting point, at least, for how many tickets you're getting.
Sure.
I feel your pain regarding the calls and whatnot. Maybe you could always ask for follow-up with them, say, I've got your phone call, but please put in a ticket for it. That way you guys have more data.
Maybe. Yeah. If
I don't know if I could
Be good.
say something real quick, but just from a department head's perspective, and Jesse can correct me if I'm wrong, is currently, I think we have an IT infrastructure problem, and Jesse is trying to work on that. That causes probably a lot of the problems. So while Jesse's working on that, our offices are still running. So we're still having issues, and there's minor things that they're having to stop for and to come and fix for us. So I think if his time was relieved a little bit so he could actually work on the infrastructure, and I'm hoping that some of, if we're going to get that American Recovery monies, that some of that could go to help him get it up and running to where he doesn't have to spend as much time there. I don't know if it would help, but they are being pulled in so many different directions. I mean, some projects, while they're not important, have sat around for almost 9 months because of their not importance, but those are things that need to get done that probably are getting outdated. So there's just things that need to change and help him somehow. I don't know what you're looking at all. I have no idea what papers you guys have or anything, but.
Which I understand that. I appreciate it. I mean, my gut feeling, yes, you need help. But I mean, in order to know how much help, we need to know, okay, the emergency's taking this much time, the reason this is set for 9 months is because we work, so much here. The infrastructure is taking my time. So we just need some number to say, okay, this is what we got to have. It might only not be one person. You might need 2 people, but we just need, to know where's all the time's going to. I mean, right now it's just a gut feel.
And then we need to know where the money's coming from. And I suggest we find out from each department head if they have funds in their budget.
Well, I feel that we need to decide, is 120,000 too much? I don't think we can afford that, so that's off the table.
Yeah.
I do.
And then does that void, our bid processes, aren't we supposed to have 3 bids anyways for something that's substantial? So.
Right, but then I did a comparison with another county and I'm like, why is it so far off compared to what
Gladwin
it was bid?
Mhm.
So, and I'm not saying, I think IT rate would be great for their department because I know what they can do for them, but not at that cost.
I still think we just need a system to track time, not to track you just where your time's going, so we can make an educated decision. Okay, this is what we got to get for you.
Yeah, I can try to start tracking our time and see if we can pull some documentation together on that.
Because we know something's got to be fixed.
And how much time you're short.
Yeah,
And we gotta
exactly.
know, what projects are hanging out there,
Mhm.
you know, and that need to be done. And
Yeah.
priorities.
I'd bring that up. I'd bring that up.
I'm gonna also check with Michigan Works. I think we got a meeting 2 weeks from now or next week. Why couldn't we have an intern for IT? Maybe some funding help for us through their department. And I'll check into that before the next meeting,
Are you talking an intern from like mid or central or?
wherever we would hire them from. It would be, they're big on that right now, giving out internships for areas.
But would he have to be, excuse me, would he have to be teaching them while he's trying to work if it's an intern?
Like he would the person we're gonna hire and pay their full wages if we hire them.
Well, that
He's
would,
gonna have to teach them our system and what's going on. So if we would get an intern.
No, we didn't have interns year before last.
Jeff, should I ask a question?
Sure, May.
Is there a reason that you would want IT right on site when they do most of the repair remotely? Like our servers and our printers and all that stuff, they do it off-site. I know it costs more to have them on site, but we have the type of contract where it's only when necessary.
When he was in,
Built in our contract.
when he was in doing his spiel, he said that a majority of their work is done off-site.
Right, that's why I was wondering, because I'm sure they did up the price because of a person coming to be on site a full day.
Now that you mentioned that,
good point.
why do we have that person here? Is that something we requested, Jesse, or is that something they recommended?
That's something we requested because that's the service that we already offer to our people here is a tech on site all the time. It would be not the greatest idea in the world if something's down in the courtroom and you have to call somebody in and they say, oh, gee, I have to drive in now. And you have to wait 30 minutes for somebody to get here.
To here.
That's part of the problem is we can't have two people here all the time if we only have two people in our whole department, because you have to plan in for times for sicknesses, times for emergencies, and also times for vacation.
What I mean is that for an emergency, you said for an emergency, you can't wait 4 hours for something. For an emergency, there's already somebody here.
Oftentimes there is. Sometimes one of us are over at the animal shelter, or we're over in Clare, or we're over in Gladwin, or we're across in the can't be reached.
You guys, we farm you out to Gladwin and Clare.
Well, we have our AS 400 out in Gladwin, I'm sorry. So sometimes we have to run out there and help. And City of Clare PD uses our MBTs because they're on our RIM services. So sometimes we're not here. And if you have somebody that's out sick, then you've just cut your ability to respond to things in half.
That's information we need, Jesse. I mean,
Right.
for your time going, we'll know, once you get that, what we need.
Yeah.
You get another refresh bid from IT, right? If they didn't have somebody here also.
Yeah.
See what-
We need to get 3
Yeah,
bids.
we need to look at,
Yes.
Can we see the proposal? Did you?
Oh, yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Has the IT committee met yet?
No,
We met twice since October.
well, that was but the IT, you guys the full board had a discussion with IT.
But the IT committee had, that's what she asked. We met once in October, was it? Or November, and then once in January. And then not since.
Oh, yeah.
Since IT Right was here.
And then in January or February, we had one meeting that was rolled into the department head meeting, and then we had the full discussion with the board. So it's probably time for us to schedule another IT committee meeting.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
Who's on that?
I guess I was thinking too with the,
All department heads.
Okay, nobody. from
whether
the
it's
board.
IT Right or whatever, but
Stephanie.
IT Right
Stephanie.
knows all of our stuff. And I thought they would be doing it remotely too, because whenever we need something, they can come in remotely and help us with the majority of it. So I didn't realize they were doing anything to be on
Yeah.
site.
I'd like to see a bit, what they would charge if we didn't have someone right
And they also have a person that lives here at White Birch Lake, and when we've had an emergency, they ticketed him out to us.
Okay.
And you pay extra for that?
Very rarely, 99% of the time, they can fix us remotely.
Do you pay extra for that?
No, we did a contract that would include if they did have to come on site for anything like that.
Did they mention in your contract, just out of curiosity, outside of business hours? If you have emergency support, like dispatch needs something?
You know,
or-
and on the weekend, I'm working the Summerfield Township, and because I work full-time at my township, I have to get a hold of them on the weekends, and they do have people on staff during the weekend.
So will they come out and respond as part of your normal business package with emergency
Yes.
after hours and weekend support?
We have not had to use it over the weekend so far. In fact, we've had to use very little because we're able to do 99.9% of our stuff over the web. That's been our server, our printers.
Yeah. So I think.
Can we get a copy of that contract?
Pardon? Yes, absolutely.
Great.
Jesse, I'm available after 4 to have a discussion about the next meeting.
Okay.
So by next meeting, you're gonna have some hours, how long things are taking, how much we're short.
Project list.
Yep, project list. Then we'll have
Hopefully.
maybe some bids from 3 people without someone on site.
They probably should have an IT meeting
Yep.
prior to that and then make sure exactly what we're looking at and then maybe another bid, at least one more bid from somebody.
And I will check into softening our burden if we couldn't get an intern of some sort here.
What exactly does that mean?
So I still pen back the type. I'm not that guy.
All right.
So there's no commissioners on the IT?
Yeah, Stephanie is.
Oh, right, sorry. Yep. Out of sight, out of mind. No, I didn't know she was originally assigned to it.
Okay, so hopefully we can make a decision on moving forward with that next meeting.
Okay.
All right,
I think we're all in agreement that 100,000 a year is.
that floored me when I heard that.
Yeah, that's what someone here all the time said.
Around 60,000 a year, salaries, benefits, retirement, everything included. You could add another full-time IT person to our staff, have them here every single business day and take part in our on-call rotation schedule.
Yeah.
Can I ask from a temp
What you pay? Can I?
I don't know right off.
Okay.
I have to look at the last.
All right.
contract. Of course, we're not the magnitude you are.
All right.
We have 15.
Lori, your report, please.
Okay.
You're tan, so do you even have a report? There you go.
Oh, good, okay.
We're working on obtaining the live scan purchase for our fingerprinting license. We got 5 different bids and I'm sifting through those to see which machine and price would be best for our office. The Register of Deeds website to increase access to online records, that's underway. I'm working on that. Hopefully that will be done in the next month or so. We just completed our elections school consolidation plan. That's a 4-year plan for just school elections, where some of the townships will consolidate together to save money for the schools on their election. And we are looking at the apportionment meeting that we have, that happens once every 10 years. And I'm gathering prior meeting paperwork and getting that out to the committee members so they can review it, because it does only happen once every 10 years. And most of the people on the committee haven't been through an apportionment before. So we're just reviewing them. We will be reviewing that information to see how that works. I'm going to conference tomorrow and Friday, and we're going to discuss apportionment there also to get ideas there. And it doesn't look like we'll be able to start any of this until later this fall, because we're waiting on the census numbers and they're late getting to us because of COVID.
Yeah.
So all of this will be taking place later than it normally would on an ordinary year. That's what's going on in my office.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Treasurer's report. Jenny, you still with us?
I am. Let me get this started here somewhere. Good morning.
Morning.
Sorry, I know I pipe in sometimes there. You can tell me not to if you like. I'm not gonna give a big full-blown report. I'm in the middle of delinquent tax settlement with the all 19 local units. We have 16 of them all settled. 17 is coming in today, and that leaves 2 more. Roughly the numbers that I'm seeing is the amount we'll need to buy back these delinquent taxes of roughly 4.5 million, which is up from what we have had before, but that's mainly due to the newer millages that were voted on in November. I'm still seeing that we're 90% collected, which is great. You know, that was an unknown that we didn't know about because of COVID. But we're seeing good numbers on that side. So our office is really extremely busy. A lot of people are coming in to pay their 2020 taxes, and they can only pay those once they're in our system. That's why we work so hard. But if you guys could really talk to your legislators, like the major thing that needs fixed to get up to the feds is our post office. The mail is crazy.
Okay.
People have been mailing in their tax payments, and you can see that they were postmarked back in February 22nd, and they just now are getting to the townships. So it's hard on the tax, or you know, on the taxpayers, and you know, the regulated law. So that's it for me. Unless you guys have any questions. All right.
Okay, I'm up. I guess first off, I guess it's good you're here, May, but I've heard from a bunch of people what a wonderful job Hayes Township is doing as far as the vaccinations, and
Yes.
the health department in Hayes Township, along with senior services, I think they all need to go on record as doing a wonderful job.
Yeah.
I'd like to invite if anybody has a couple of hours to volunteer. They booked us all the way through April because it's going to open up to all the public on the 5th of April. And they will be taking people who even work in Clare County. They'll be eligible if they're part of the 6-county thing. So if anybody has a few hours, we are looking for some volunteers to help me on the desk and take temps and that's it.
Nice. Second, Jason Wentworth was here earlier last week, and I feel that discussion went very well. I feel that MAC has alerted to our needs, and it almost makes me feel good that we're not the only counties in this boat. And a lot of that has come from the fact that we're not getting the funding we used to, instead of us not watching our dollars. That
helped us understand a lot.
A lot, it did.
Yeah, that was powerful.
So, and also I got thinking because some people didn't know about the meeting with Jason Wentworth. And I got thinking, you know, we have the clerk and the treasurer on here, and I'd like to ask the sheriff and the prosecutor if they would also like to give a monthly report.
I'd be happy to do that if you want me to be there.
Yes.
I just, yeah, if you're against it, it's never been that way. I'm not saying you have to, but if you have stuff you'd like to share, I think that'd be a good idea.
I do too. I think it's a good idea.
Can I add something to that? Also thank Jesse with IT because he's an instrumental part for everybody. He's come monthly report too.
Okay, so we can add them 3 to the meeting.
Everybody depending on him, so.
Is the sheriff on there?
And
Oh, yeah, he was.
also, I'd like to add that I cut Sandy off last meeting, and I'd like to apologize for that in public.
It was Dale's fault.
Okay, I like that. I like that better. I do.
It's okay. No, I'm fine. I had to.
It's the first time, but it probably won't be the last.
So we're just gonna let it go. So I was wondering if today, when it gets to the commissioner's report, you could start at this end and I'd be like second or somewhere, and then my report would be
Okay.
this big and there'd never be a problem.
Let's do that then. All right.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate your concern.
My question would be, where do you want them? Do you want them after the treasurer?
Yep.
Okay, I can put those on there at that time then.
And we've invited the sheriff's department, the,
IT and the
And
prosecutor.
Yeah.
oh, okay, all right.
Oh, I had something else. No, I forgot.
I'm sorry.
Way to go.
Are we gonna plan some meetings to work? You know what you and I talked about the other day and like a structure for, get in place ahead of time? for-
Right, well, that was what I was gonna touch on next. What I forgot about was, I feel we need to get out to our meetings, very importantly, to put the gypsy moth thing out
Mhm.
there here in the near future to save us some grief down the road.
Yeah.
And I want to ask everybody what their opinion is on that $3 million we're going to receive and what we can do to spend it. Do we have a meeting? Should we wait to see what we can spend it on, or should we start brainstorming now? I know that grounds and maintenance needs to meet to see maybe what we have out there as far as infrastructure needs we have to fix. And
Windows and such, yeah.
Yeah, I know there were HVAC systems, so I'll get into that one on
Yeah.
my spiel.
all right, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Dale?
Cool. I wanted to touch on that, that money we're going to get. I mean, we need to really spend it wisely because it's a golden situation that can help us in so many ways. I know there was a couple of HVAC systems having issues with. And
Free demerits.
didn't have the money to fix. This is a perfect opportunity to get those fixed. I mean, they had already mentioned that that infrastructure is gonna be one of the approved areas, so.
Are you calling me, Brown?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. But you missed that Friday meeting. It was so inspiring that
Oh,
afterwards, the
yeah.
people that were here, we stayed and just were like, for about, what, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and we're like all powered up and and we talked exactly what you're talking about now and building some kind of plans. We get things prioritized and ahead of times and things like that. So.
Well, and I think one of the major things too is to figure out how much revenue loss we have had with the jail and any of our other revenues and really spelling those out so that
Where did
know
we
how
pay for
much-
that Right there.
huh?
Where did we pay for that? Can we get reimbursed for our Zoom system?
Lori.
Can she get reimbursed for that? It was a grant? Okay. I mean, that's all stuff that we need to look at, that's COVID related, that we can possibly get reimbursed back with that money for.
Just we could get our general fund built back up and not have to do that tax and pay anticipation loan. That would be amazing.
Closer to it, yeah.
Would be so good.
Exactly right.
And I wanted to thank you for inviting the speaker in. That was just wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good one. What? You part of that?
No, I'm just kidding. I was
Oh,
just shutting you down. I'm kidding.
The sheriff said he's here and he'll make sure that there's a monthly report. He didn't want to interrupt.
Thank you, Dwayne. Anything else?
Just attended my township meetings and that, so. But again, just to touch on the gypsy moth thing, and I had talked to Melissa extensively on this. We need to make sure that we communicate to the people out in the townships. Because
And
we're gonna wanna know why they're not being
Yeah.
sprayed, and they've been for sprayed and they were approved to be sprayed. Now all of a sudden they're not being sprayed.
Yeah.
You know why?
They're already asking.
and make sure we spend the money that we have. So, get the next people down the line that weren't on the original, get them sprayed because
Melissa can go out to the townships and explain too.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be on us to learn the whole curriculum and
right.
read it, but we can get, but she can do that. She's done that before.
All right, that's all I had.
Round one?
Yeah, townships, you bring up the gypsy moth, the people they're screaming already. So I think that's very important. I talked to them about the CMU visitation from the College of Medicine, and boy, everyone's excited about that. And I think that's a great, thing that we've got. with Lori, you know, I'm glad she's been working on that, and I think it's a very good idea. Yeah, that's about, you know, that's township meetings and
How's it going at Mid-Michigan Community Action Agency? Down there in Firewall. The last Thursday of the month. Not going down there, they serve a dinner? Are you assigned to that?
no, I'm not.
Who's on that? I thought you were,
No, not
because I'm
me.
your alternate.
No, I'm not assigned to it.
I don't remember.
I do, because I really liked those people, and they have a lot of information about their programs.
Yeah, but I'm not assigned. That's the only thing I know I couldn't do that. Somebody assigned me, I didn't agree.
We did them during the board meeting.
Yeah, you were
I
here.
wouldn't have
snuck one-
assigned
we
it.
could've
I
snuck
wouldn't have
one in on
assigned
you.
anybody.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm not on it, because I couldn't.
I think when things were signed, though, I don't think it was real clear at the time when some of those meetings met. That was easy to
Brown
guess.
and Bristol.
I'm your alternative.
You're my
Alter- not-
alternative?
no, you're
My
alternate.
alternative?
Yeah, I'm.
Wow. Did
Okay.
someone appoint me?
You accepted the,
Well, then I didn't know that the meetings were then.
yeah, they were written on the pages when they met, but I think a bunch of it's like, that didn't sink in.
Must not have. Yeah. Okay.
So you can't make
See.
that, because you have a township board meeting that Thursday?
Well, yeah.
Okay,
So, I mean,
so someone else,
Well, it
has-
looks like your alternative has to go.
yeah, there you go.
do you know how many committees I'm already on?
You're our anchor and we're proud of you.
Wait a second, weren't you saying, yeah, I'll take this one, yeah, I'll take that one, yeah?
Yes.
Wait a minute.
No, she was going, Sandy should be on
that's a
that,
good-
and I had to tell her to back up.
What'd you say last Friday?
No, it's the
Yeah.
last Thursday.
The Clare County Transit or last?
Yeah, yes, yeah, so you're off the hook. Okay. Okay,
You're up.
how about mileage? I'm putting my foot down. If I have to go to 27,000 meetings a month and wear and tear my little car.
You need to talk to your board. They're the ones who said no.
Yeah, there should be like maybe 2 or 3 places you have to go where you don't get mileage, but like after 4 meetings, you get mileage for everything,
Are
especially.
any of those meetings allowing you to zoom in?
Yeah, and that's been helpful. Okay, so when it starts in person. Okay, because I spend ungodly amounts of time on the road because I live way up over there in the tippy corner.
A golly mounts? Is that what you said?
What?
In the tippy corner, she
I live
said.
in the tippy corner.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, we need your report.
Okay. I'm pleased to report that Arthur Township is working on having their building become a shelter, and they signed up to be on the hazard mitigation plan. They didn't know about that. They have a new board, so I got them connected with Jerry. This is something I'd like you to mention to your township. Hazard mitigation plan is in a 4-year cycle, and when it comes around again, it takes, I didn't realize this, but it was like a year to maybe a year and a half to go through the whole process again. And if you want funds from that, like if you have a flooding, a tornado, all that kind of stuff, there's a billion things that can go wrong. And this is kind of connected to FEMA. But if you want emergency help for any of those, you have to be part of this process. And all of the townships were signed up 4 years ago, except Arthur. And somehow they're signing up now. You
Good.
have to participate in some of these, at least some of the meetings. So if you could remind your township people that that's come around again. And if you have older boards, they're gonna go, oh yeah, but we're having Zoom meetings right now. They're the second Tuesday of the month
Yeah.
at 10 o'clock.
They're worthwhile too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some good stuff on
We
that
did,
list.
yeah.
Yep, fog and celestial
I
events.
know it. Celestial events.
Yeah, okay, all right. Franklin Township has finally gotten their Zoom process down. Hamilton didn't have any meeting. We need to update our webpage, if at all possible, because I looked through trying to make contacts and stuff, and it's pretty sad. I've been trying to track down the Agricultural Preservation Board because I got volunteered to that. And I finally talked to Jack
That's not
Kleinhardt,
right.
and he said that no longer exists. Okay, So do you want me to make a list of all the things that are on there that those people aren't on certain committees and stuff anymore?
It's the committee appointments that you're looking at or the,
Nope, everything. Like there
okay,
is no agricultural preservation board anymore. So, and I was assigned to that.
okay.
All right,
I did not know that.
right. Nobody did except maybe Jack. Okay, and it hasn't been around for years.
Okay.
Okay. So there's that. And there are other things too, like, is MTA meeting right now?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, because their meetings are on the
They don't-
calendar.
Some of that stuff doesn't come through our office, so we may have it listed on there, but nobody contacts us to let us know if it's,
Okay, so if I see something, should I?
see something, say something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Or I
great.
hear everybody.
No, if you'd let us know, then we can make those changes, yeah.
Okay, good. You can take me off that committee.
Okay,
Okay, thanks. I'm done.
and I will remove it off of our list.
Well, you got room for another one if we took that one off.
But that one
There
only
you
meant
go.
3 times a year.
Yeah.
All right,
Or no times. Okay.
Samantha. Right,
I want a sentence. Surrey Township has not.
I just wanted to touch on us, the board and department heads, that we gotta still emphasize working together. I mean, we got a long ways to go with the
Oh, yeah.
ability and wage compensation where we got a long road. We just all need to work together.
Yeah.
Some situations that occur, but we gotta emphasize, we gotta work together. That's the only way we're get through this. If
Kids
we
know
work together.
about meetings like Jason Wentworth. I got that loud and clear. So that's important.
So, yeah.
okay. Budget, state of. You have anything to discuss on that? Huh?
Don't forget about Stephanie.
She was in class, so Stephanie, do you want to give a report? Or are you in class?
I believe hold on, she had to excuse herself.
Okay,
So I don't really have much more right now on it because we're getting ready to go through the budget process and those things. We have some adjustments to make according to that, and then we'll get an updated sheet to you after those adjustments are complete.
Are we still looking at the big loss of revenue through the sheriff's?
Yeah, that, I think
We've been making adjustments to that as we go. And there's another adjustment in here as it relates to
is it
that.
gonna be less than 600? Because of the inmates they're gathering?
Dwayne, are you on?
Hi, everyone. I'd be surprised if it's less than that, Jeff. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but we have to be very careful yet this early on.
And the reason I ask is if you are gonna be light, we can maybe add to the general fund with that money we got coming in, so. we eventually-
That's what I was hoping for too, if it's needed, but we're kind of going month to month here and it seems to be getting better every month as we progress through it.
Okay, perfect, thank you. All right. Public comment. May?
I ran down because you guys were talking about the sale of the property to the airport. We were trying to get in when the question came up about the zoning. That is zoned industrial park. And so some things got bypassed by the old board, Headco board and that. So I just wanted to make you aware that yes, it is zoned and it's zoned industrial.
Okay. Good to know. How much do you think that people ought to pay for it?
It's not getting me in on that.
Okay, I'm teasing. All right, thanks. Thanks for letting us know about that.
Jeff. Yeah.
Any more public comment?
David Hoffman's on there.
David.
David, how you doing?
Morning, everyone. I just wanted to make a quick comment. Sandy, I was the member that was on the Mid-Michigan Community Action Board last term.
Yep, I know, yeah.
One of the things that the MMCCA does, I didn't take advantage of it at the time because the county still had mileage, but they do offer mileage for the members that go to the meeting. So
That's right, they do. I remember.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks for the reminder. Okay. The dinners were good, weren't they?
Oh, yeah, they're delicious. The
Yep.
catered locally,
Okay,
different
yeah,
restaurant every time. It was just
yeah. Thanks, David.
I have one, if you don't mind, Jeff.
Go ahead.
Diane Lyon, the city of Clare clerk, emailed me. She wanted to know if the county has or is in discussion about declaring a local state of emergency to comply with OMA.
Yes, which I was gonna bring that up to you. Because our emergency management director needs to do that. And that also affects the townships, the cities, the village, and I believe that's why Diane is asking that question.
And tell me again what OMA is.
Open Meetings Act.
Oh, right, yep, I saw that, yeah.
In order for us to continue on with compliance with the health department and their requirements as it relates to meetings and being able to do Zoom, we would have to do a local state of emergency through our emergency management director.
Okay,
And then we can continue on with that.
okay, got it.
Is that, we need to know if those are the wishes of the board, if you would like him to do that.
Yes.
I guess, what is the city and what are the townships? Do they want to continue on with the Zoom?
She's the only one I've heard from. She just asked that question.
I mean, I know that's a discussion out there that a lot of them kind of like it. And even if they meet, they'd still like to have that option so that people that don't have, can't make it in, they can Zoom in and that. I know I've heard that.
Right.
Harrison, the city is still Zooming, and I haven't heard if they're gonna quit at any time soon.
Are there implications for the county calling a state of emergency?
Yes.
Right. And did anybody look into that to see what it was prior to the meeting?
Yeah, I mean, you've really got to have, other than requesting, townships requesting that they'd like to continue with Zoom, there's still got to be a bona fide emergency.
Okay.
I know, but
numbers,
MAC is telling us that that's what we need to do if we need to continue on with these.
right, but again, if Jerry's going to declare a state of emergency, he's got to have just reason to call it. You just can't call it for.
Right.
For Open Meetings Act, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeff, aren't there still restrictions based on capacity for people to meet in person? So I think a number of these committees are concerned with public participation, not necessarily the committee like you guys getting together, but public participation and being able to continue to allow that. And because of spaces that some, like City of Clare, I don't know if you've ever been in our Board of Commissioners room, probably accommodates a maximum of 8 people under COVID regulations, which means people who are on the agenda as well as public who want to observe can't under the traditional Open Meetings Act. So in order to continue with the Zoom or hybrids like we're doing here, a state of emergency has to be issued in order for us to comply.
And I believe they can do that. They can do the local state of emergency in order to comply with what health department's telling us to
Right,
do.
yeah.
And Jerry didn't seem, when I talked to Jerry about it, he said it's not that big of a deal. He said it's not a problem. We can do that.
It all depends on how long the health department is going to
Yeah,
continue.
the COVID.
requirements.
Right.
The COVID continues.
Oh, this is Tracy from the city.
Hi.
I am here. We're going to open up to the public starting March 31st, but they wanted me to explore the option of having a hybrid that they could both come in on by Zoom and sit in the audience because you're still limited to 25 people.
Right.
All together, yeah.
Yep.
Maybe what's Hayes going to do?
We Zoomed last night. We'll probably continue because the ruling is if there's more than 25 that want to come in, we have to suspend our meeting.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. And for those meetings that I have that are way out of the county, that's really helpful to have the Zoom, or like with the road commission that start at 8 a.m. It's really handy to have Zoom there. So I wouldn't mind extended state of emergency.
So what do we get from that? We need to do this immediately or, because March 31st it
March
ends, it's
31st
something we
it
need to
ends.
do.
Gotta be done by the end of the month.
Yeah.
Jerry's just gotta find out from Jerry what it's gonna curtail to continue it on and
Okay.
go from there, and then just communicate it.
He's training right today.
Yeah, but I believe all he would need from you is a motion that states that you would like him to file for a local state of emergency.
I move then. I'd like to have him file for state of emergency.
Yeah, as long,
All the reasons mentioned.
I'll second it. As long as the health department still
Yes.
is standing by their parameters,
Mm-hmm.
then we file for the
Correct.
the state of emergency. If it looks like the health department, which we haven't had any indication that anything's gonna get lighter, matter of fact, I just seen that
Going up.
Michigan's going up, which
Yeah.
I don't understand, but
Well,
Michigan's going up in cases and,
people were refusing to get vaccinated and a lot of them aren't wearing masks.
yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's the process. We make sure the
Roll call.
department's gonna stand by theirs and then you,
Brown, Brown is absent, sorry. She's absent now. Majeski,
yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
Pitchford,
Yes.
Bankin,
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Pascal.
Yes. Okay. Any other public comment? Unfinished business. New business. Sandy, anything else before we shut this?
Not
down?
unless you want a chicken story.
All right.
Hit that hammer.
Really good possum story.
I will let you all